Your grandmother turned 65 in 1962, and the woman who opened the front door that morning looked 45. She had not had a single procedure. She had not used a single product you could not buy at the corner drugstore for under $2. She had never heard the word Botox. She had never seen a serum. And she stood there in the morning light with the kind of skin and the kind of bearing that your daughter pays $400 a month to chase, and she did not know she was doing anything special. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. You sat on the edge of her bed in the evening when you were small, and you watched her undo her day at the vanity. The light was low. She had a single lamp on the table beside the mirror, and the room smelled the way it always smelled: faint cocoa butter and faint ponds, and the trace of the talcum she had patted on at 4 in the morning before she left for work. She opened the jar of ponds. The lid was cool and white, and the cream inside was as soft as butter that had been left out. And she took a fingerful, and she warmed it between her palms, and she pressed it onto her face in slow, careful circles. She did not rush. She had been on her feet for 14 hours. She had 2 more hours of dishes and homework and bedtime stories ahead of her, and she still did not rush this part. This part was hers. The ponds came off with a soft cotton ball, and what came up was the entire day. The dust of somebody else's white kitchen, the grime of the bus window, the thin film of city she had been carrying since 7 that morning, and under all of it, her face, clean, soft, lit faintly gold in the lamplight. You did not understand then what you were watching, but your body remembered the smell forever. That smell is the smell of being safe. That smell is the smell of a woman who is still here at the end of the day. After the ponds came the cocoa butter, and the cocoa butter was its own ritual, the yellow waxy block that her own mother had used, that traced all the way back to a coast on the other side of an ocean she had never seen. She broke a small piece off with her thumb, and she warmed it in her hand until it melted, and then she worked it into her cheeks and her temples and the long brown column of her throat, and she did her elbows and the backs of her hands. The cocoa butter went on the way prayer goes on, quiet, slow, thorough, and by the time it was done, her skin had a glow that $100 million of advertising would spend the next 60 years trying and failing to recreate. She did not have 10 products. She had 3: Pond's cocoa butter, Vaseline. That was the cabinet. And here is the part the modern world will not tell you. The part that makes you angry now that you finally see it. She did not need anything else because her skin was being fed by her life. The skin was downstream, the life was upstream, and every single thing about the way she lived was quietly, every single day, feeding the skin that you would later watch in awe. She did not eat from a bag, not once. The food in her kitchen had been cooked by her own 2 hands, from something that had been alive in the ground 3 days before. The collard greens torn from the garden out back, the cornbread from yellow meal she had measured with her own hands, the chicken brining since the night before. There was no high fructose corn syrup in her cabinet. There was no industrial seed oil. There was no plastic with 1,000 chemicals inside it. There was a tin of bacon grease and a sack of flour and a jar of molasses. That was the pantry, and it fed 7 people for a week, and at the end of the week, her skin was glowing. She walked 3 to 6 miles every single day of her adult life. To the bus stop, and from it, across the white woman's kitchen and up the stairs and home with 2 bags of groceries, to the AME church on Sunday and back, to choir practice on Wednesday and back. Her body did this without ever once being called exercise. Your grandmother did not have a gym. Your grandmother was the gym. And the face on top of all that movement was the face of a woman whose body worked. That kind of face you cannot buy. She slept. The lights went out at 9:45 and they did not come back on until 5:15. 7.5 hours of dark, deep sleep in a room with no television in it and no telephone and no glowing screen of any kind. The body does its repairing in the dark. The skin does its healing in the dark. The cortisol comes down in the dark. The collagen rebuilds in the dark. Your daughter gives her body 4.5 hours of glowing blue light and a thumb scrolling at 11:37 at night. The skin knows the difference. The face shows the difference. There were no chemicals in her bathroom. Her soap was Cuticura or ivory. Her shampoo was an egg and a tablespoon of olive oil on a Saturday night with a final rinse of apple cider vinegar from the kitchen. There was a single tube of lipstick in deep burgundy, and there was a small tin of Apex face powder. The Apex powder had been made in Atlantic City by a black woman named Sarah Spencer Washington, who had built an empire from a one-room shop, who had hired black women when nobody else would, who had died in 1953, the same year your grandmother walked to her wedding in a dress her own mother had sewn. The Apex powder was not just a product, it was an inheritance. Every black woman in the country who put it on her face was holding up a torch that one of her own had lit, and they all knew it, and the powder went on cleaner because of it. She did not carry her stress in her face. The motherboard at church knew when she had a bad week. Sister Lewis from down the street stopped by on Wednesday with a casserole and did not ask why. Your aunt was at the back door on Thursday with a check for $15 folded inside a sympathy card. The neighborhood saw her, the church saw her, the 13 women in her life who were all raising each other's children saw her, and every time the world outside the black neighborhood pressed down on her in a way it was designed to press down on her, that community pressed back. The face, in the end, is a mirror of which one was stronger. In your grandmother's life, the community was stronger, and the face held. This is the thing the modern world will never quite understand. It can give you 100 serums. It can give you Botox and fillers and lasers and gold leaf masks. It cannot give you the thing your grandmother had. A pantry that was not against her. A schedule that was not against her. A bedroom that was not against her. A church that knew her name. 12 hours of physical movement a day that did not feel like work because it was just life. 7 hours of black silent sleep at the end of it. And the science is finally catching up. There is a thing called the weathering hypothesis. It says the chronic stress of being a black woman in America accelerates biological aging in measurable ways. Black women in this country right now have 15% more cortisol in their blood than white women have every day for 70 years. And cortisol is the hormone that breaks collagen, that breaks the bonds in your skin that keep it tight and bright and held in a young woman's face. Now think about what your grandmother had that pushed against that cortisol all day long. The walking, the cooking, the sleeping, the praying, the pot of greens simmering on the back burner, the cocoa butter on the throat, the lamp turning off at 9:45, the 13 mothers in the neighborhood, the community that pressed back. She had a life that lowered cortisol every single day for 70 years, and her face showed it. She had skin that held. You do not have that life. Your daughter does not have that life. Your granddaughter has a phone in her pocket, buzzing 73 times a day, and a meal that came out of a box, and a job she takes home in her chest, and a sleep that ends at 6 after she lay in the dark thinking about money for 2 hours, and her face shows it at 34 the way her great-grandmothers did not show it at 62. It is not her fault. The system is built to keep her cortisol up, and her sleep down, and her food cheap, and her people scattered, and the system is winning. And your daughter has paid for 2 appointments at the medical spa this year trying to undo what your grandmother's whole life prevented for free. You can take some of it back, not all of it, But you can put a jar of Pond's on your bathroom shelf and use it every single night without missing one. You can break off a small piece of the real cocoa butter, the yellow waxy block, and work it into the column of your throat the way she worked it into hers. You can sleep with the phone in a different room. You can turn the lamp off at 9:45. You can take the screens out of your bedroom, and your face will know the difference within 2 weeks. You can walk 3 miles a day, to the grocery, to the church, to nowhere in particular. You can cook one meal from something that was alive last week. You can sit at a table with people who know your name. You can be one of the 13 mothers for somebody else's daughter, the way somebody was one for you. And here is what nobody will sell you on television. The melanin in your skin is still there. The dense collagen network your grandmother carried, packed with the kind of fiber that does not break the way white skin breaks. You are carrying that too. The natural sunscreen you walk around in, the slower rate of intrinsic aging. Olay ran a study some years back across thousands of women and found that Black women fell into the exceptional skin agers category at higher rates than any other group. All of that is still in you. It is your inheritance. It is the gift your great-great-grandmother carried across an ocean in her body for you, and it is not gone. It is sitting under a layer of cortisol that the modern world has piled on top of it, and every piece of the old life you can pull back is one more brick lifted off what is already underneath the most beautiful skin this country has ever been given. Your grandmother is gone now, most likely, or she is sitting very still in a chair by a window in the afternoon. You can look at the photograph of her at 65, and you can finally see what you are looking at. You are not looking at good genes. You are looking at a life. A Pond's jar that opened at 10 at night for 50 years. Cocoa butter that traced an ocean. A woman who walked 6 miles a day without ever calling it exercise. A bedroom with no glowing screens. A community that pressed back. You are looking at the face of a woman whose entire life was, by the standards of any world, hard. And the face does not show the hard. The face shows the love that pressed back against the hard. You have her hands. They are sitting in your lap right now. They know how to do this. Take down the jar tonight. Sit at the mirror. Turn the lamp low. Begin. Did your grandmother use Pond's or Cuticura or the cocoa butter block? Do you still have her vanity? What was the smell in her bedroom at night? Tell me her name. Tell me the routine she did before she turned off the light. I read every single comment.